All right, everybody, it's 5:47 p.m. I'd like to call this public hearing to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of
Recording in
silence.
progress.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, roll call, please, Ms. Lawrence.
Mr. Hawes?
Here.
Ms. Krasnowski? Mr. Liscavige?
Here.
Ms. McDermott? Here. Mr. Perry? Mr. Sabatino?
Here.
Ms. Smith? Ms. Stevenson?
Here.
Mr. Thornton?
Here.
Mr. Wilovich?
Here.
Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
You have 9 of 11 here?
All right, thank you very much. We'll now have public comment on the proposed ordinance amending the 2024 fiscal year budget for Luzerne County for drug and alcohol. Anybody for public comment? I don't see any slips up here. Anybody on the Zoom?
Nope.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. We'll restart at 5:50. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Hey, how are you? Welcome. What's the latest? Yeah, because my phone keeps on. I can't get email from my phone as of late. I don't know what's going on now. It's ugly.
All right, it's 5:50 p.m. I'd like to call the second public hearing to order. We already had the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Roll call, please, Ms. Lawrence.
Recording in progress.
Mr. Hawes?
Here.
Ms. Krasnowski? Mr. Liscavige? Ms. McDermott? Mr. Perry? Mr. Sabatino?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Stevenson?
Here.
Mr. Thornton?
Here.
Mr. Wilovich?
Here.
Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
10 of 11?
All right, thank you. Is there any public comment on the proposed ordinance for amending the 2024 fiscal year budget for Luzerne County for the Government Study Commission? I do have a slip here for Mr. Fiorucci. Oh, you have it checked. That's okay. No worries. I kind of figured. Okay. Anybody else for public comment? Mr. Griffith?
I apologize for not putting it on my slip, Chairman. The comment on the Government Study Commission budget, the concern that I have is on the agenda tonight, on your voting agenda, there's a motion for the resolution amending for a memo of understanding regarding the salary of the clerk to council. There's also an issue of the IT people that work the Government Study Commission, and there's also an issue with the Sheriff's Department that works those positions for the Government Study Commission that we really haven't gotten a really strong number from the Government Study Commission as to what their intentions are for those folks to be paid for the Government Study Commission out of their budget. I just want to be clear that, you know, just for everybody knows, this is county money that they're spending. And in their proposal that they voted unanimously on item 11, they voted unanimously for time and a half for the clerk to council. I don't know what their intentions are for the other folks that are possibly going to be working that government study commission, but I think the council really needs to know what their intentions are for salaries, because this council is responsible for the money. This is taxpayers' money. This isn't government study money. This is taxpayer money. If they go over budget, we have to give them more. That's the requirement of the law, that we have to give them the funding that they need. So you can't be playing fast and loose with money on the government study commission because we want to give exorbitant salaries that we can't pay our people normally. I mean, we don't pay our clerk that kind of money as a clerk to council. Yet they voted to give almost time and a half on top of that for the clerk. Not saying that the work isn't worth the money, but there's only so much money that we can pay people. We're doing a budget session right now where we're cutting salaries for everybody in the county because we can't afford to pay people and we want to keep our numbers down. Yet the Government Study Commission votes unanimously to inflate our budget. I think that's something that this council needs to consider. I don't have a problem paying people their normal wages, but I do have a problem with them increasing it. And we don't know what the increase is going to be for the other two entities that are going to be performing work here and have been for the past couple, 3-4 months. So we still owe them money. We don't know what that salary is going to be. So I would say that you probably really need to consider whether you want to amend their budget until we find out what their numbers really are. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith. Any other public comment on the ordinance? Anybody on Zoom? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. We'll restart at 6:01. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
All right, everybody, it's 6:01 p.m. I'd like to call this voting session to
Recording
order.
in progress.
We already had the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Roll call, please, Ms. Lawrence.
Mr. Hawes?
Here.
Ms. Krasinowski? Mr. Liscavige? Ms. McDermott? Mr. Perry? Mr. Sabatino?
Here.
Ms. Smith? Here. Ms. Stevenson? Mr. Thornton?
Here.
Mr. Wilovich?
Here.
Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
We have 10 of 11 present.
Thank you. Before we go any further, we do have one ceremonial proclamation for Canine Officer Atiro and Officer Robert Stelmack from the Scranton Bomb Squad, who assisted us on Election Day with a situation that we had here in one of our county buildings. Whereas on election night, our Luzerne County Election Bureau faced a significant challenge with a bomb scare that raised concerns for the safety of our election workers. And whereas in this time of uncertainty, Canine Officer Atiro and his handler, Officer Robert Stelmack of the Scranton Police Department, responded swiftly and courageously, demonstrating unwavering commitment to the safety of our citizens. And whereas Officer Atiro's bravery and professionalism provided reassurance and support, allowing our election workers to carry out their duties with confidence, and whereas, in recognition of his exceptional service and dedication to our county, we are honored to bestow upon Atiro the title of Honorary Resident of Luzerne County. Now, therefore, we, the representatives of Luzerne County, do hereby proclaim our deepest gratitude to Canine Officer Atiro and Officer Robert Stelmack for their outstanding service and commitment to keeping Luzerne County election workers safe. Their actions exemplify the spirit of courage and dedication that we value in our law enforcement. Thank you very much. Manager Crocomo, do you have anything you wanted to say on this matter?
He was a very good boy. They came so quickly, and I did thank the mayor and the police chief, and I hope that we can. I'd like to get a little bed or a collar for him, and we can deliver it. He's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful German Shepherd.
Thank you very much once again. Okay. Any deletions from the voting session agenda? Is there a motion to adopt? Okay. All right. Well, okay. Do you want to announce the executive session first before we go any further then? Attorney Skeen?
Certainly.
I apologize.
Prior to our meeting, we had an executive session wherein we discussed possible resolution of litigation matters regarding the prison.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, are there any deletions from the agenda? Okay. Sure. Yeah,
I'd
that's
like
what
to
you want.
remove agenda item number 1.
All right, there's a motion to move number 1. All right, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. One no. Okay. Any other deletions? All right. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved. Second.
All right. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted. We'll now have public comment on voting session agenda items only. We do have several slips up here. Mr. Griffin? Greg Griffin? Okay, all right. You want to come up at the end and speak on it then? Or, okay, all right, great. Mr. Griffith?
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. I really would like to know why we deleted that item off the agenda. That would be really interesting if you could share the information as to why we pulled that off the agenda. There was some people here who wanted to speak on it, so it probably would be better. It would be beneficial for those folks that came to speak as why that was taken off. But my other item that I wanted to speak about one as well, but I'm going to speak about number 11, and that was the issue that I had with the amending the budget for the Government Study Commission. And I think the intention here is that we do not. And I think I was the one that raised the issue with the Government Study Commission originally, is they were going to go out and get an outside vendor to do the recording secretary work, as well as the IT folks who work the room with the study commission and the sheriff. And my concern was that, we weren't paying these people. They were basically using comp time to do that Government Study Commission work. And I thought it wasn't fair to those folks because Government Study Commission was separate and distinct. And so my intention when I raised the issue to the study commission was that we lose that productivity for people who work the Government Study Commission on a night when they're doing that. And then the next day they take 2 hours off for the county, so we lose that productivity in the county. So my suggestion to them was to pay them their hourly rate that they were earning during the time that they were working during the Government Study Commission. And that way, the next day, they wouldn't be able to take the comp time off and hurt the productivity of the county. That was my thought. But then I see on the agenda where they're now thinking about having people who come to work the Government Study Commission not only get regular salary, but now they want them to get time and a half. And I don't think that's financially responsible for this county to do that. Not that I don't think the person who's doing it deserves time and a half, but we don't give time and a half to the clerk to council currently. She's an exempt employee. She can work 100 hours and still gets paid straight time because she's an exempt employee. That's the way it works for salary people. We don't work them that hard, but that's just the reality. So now the Government Study Commission says, well, hey, guess what? If they're going to work in the holiday, you're going to pay them time and a half. I just don't think, if she works for the council on a holiday, she can get time and a half, so why should she get time and a half for the study commission? So my point is that I think the study commission should pay people that work for the study commission their hourly rate that they're earning as employees for the county. If they happen to be time and a half employees, then they get paid time and a half. That's what we pay them as county. They're not separate entities. They're not given, they're not processing their payroll as a Government Study Commission. They're not paying their taxes and all that stuff as a separate entity. They're still county employees and they still fall under the county policies. So I don't see how they can dictate to this council that you're now going to pay somebody time and a half who's not even eligible for time and a half. So consider that when you vote on that. I would think we should pay them what they're earning currently as an employee for the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith. Next up, we have David Fatula. I think he's outside. Mr. Fatula?
I'm on number 1, I'll come back.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Fiorucci, I assume you're on number 1 as well? Okay, all right, we'll have you guys at the end. Thank you. Anybody else for public comment on agenda items only? Anybody in the audience? Anybody on the Zoom? All right. Okay, hearing none, we will need a motion to remove from the table the minutes from the October 8th, 2024 meeting.
Motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. The minutes are removed from the table. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from October 8th?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes from October 8th are approved. Next, we'll have a motion to approve the minutes from October 22nd.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes from October 22nd are approved as well. Thank you very much. All right, agenda item number 1, motion to adopt the ordinance amending the 2024 fiscal year budget for Luzerne County for drug and alcohol. Motion and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch? Yes. Ms. McDermott? Yes. Mr. Perry? Yes. Mr. Sabatino?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson? Yes. Mr. Thornton?
Yes.
Mr. Wilovich?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Number 2, motion to adopt the ordinance amending the 2024 fiscal year budget for Luzerne County for the Government Study Commission.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second? There's a second by Ms. McDermott on the question. Go ahead.
So, item number,
Item number 3, which is now number 2.
is that, how's that different from item number 11?
Oh, your mic.
Oh, how's that different from 3?
So this is for the the budget for the amending the budget for the fiscal year. The motion for the resolution is a memorandum of understanding for the clerk of council to provide services.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, those are 2 separate. So there's a motion. There was a second by Ms. McDermott. Okay. Any other questions?
I just have one question, Mr. Chair. Do we get a final amount of how much the state's going to be compensating Luzerne County for the study commission? Do we ever get word on that? And I think it's germane to this, but I don't know if we have that.
I was under the impression that the answer was $0, but
Not for this year.
Not
Yeah.
for this year. Okay. But you think next year, Romilda, there'll?
We have a grant. Jim Rose, do you want to speak to that?
Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Mr. Rose, just make sure that mic is on when you get up there.
Hello?
There you go.
Okay. Okay, so we have a strategic management planning grant that we have applied for. And that's a matching grant that's administered by the Department of Community and Economic Development that will allow us to hire a consultant to come in and take a look at our government, to take a look at our finances, to take a look at our operations, and then make recommendations on what is working well for us and what might better be changed for us. It is a multiple step grant though. So we have one grant, and I'm told that we will be hearing this week about when the grant will be funded, which should be soon. But whatever recommendations the consultant makes, then will be additional grant funds to help us, if you so choose, to carry out the recommendations.
But
So-
that out of that grant money, part of that money can be used for the Government Study Commission,
Correct,
if we choose to do that.
if we chose.
But it reduces, we don't get extra money, it'll reduce the amount that we can use
Right.
to have a consultant to give us recommendations on various government issues.
Any questions?
And do we
Mr.
have
Haas?
a ballpark amount about how much that would be?
Oh, I forget.
Either Miller or Jim?
Where's Michelle? Michelle?
But I apologize, I don't remember off the.
I don't remember either.
Yeah,
but
I
it
don't want to
wasn't-
give you the
Is-
wrong amount.
I
so-
can check tomorrow, but.
It's like 50,000 to 75,000, I think.
I just
in
have
that
one
range.
question. So is the entire amount being applied to the Government Study Commission, or is it separately to a consultant? Part of it will be to a consultant, and then if there's.
Hopefully, most of it will be to the consultant, because
Okay.
we really do need to have a good study done of our finances and of our operations.
The purpose of applying for that grant was really to help us with a strategic plan. And the first part is the consultants. If council chooses to use that money for the Government Study Commission, then that's your decision, but it reduces the amount that we can pay the consultant to help us with our strategic plan.
And I'm sorry for the extra questions, Ramiro, then, so that money is available, that grant, every period of years, I'm guessing? Is it every 3, every 5 year?
No,
What's the
it's a
cycle
rolling
on that?
grant, it's always available.
It's a rolling grant. So again, I'm just thinking long-term. Can we apply for that this next fiscal year and do it for the next as well?
And as I noted, the grant has several phases. So whatever is recommended in the first part of the grant, then we can apply for an additional grant. It's called a second phase, and we could fund that. And if that's what you so choose to do, then we can apply for that, yes.
Because again, the whole secret sauce of local government is leveraging state and federal funds to keep
Yep.
our doors open and minimize cost to our taxpayers, of course. So that's my mode of thinking here. Have these, and this is going back to the chair, I guess, have these expenses, have they already been incurred by the study commission, Mr. Chair? Did they give a report on that? Or is this just their ask?
I believe that's to the end of the year, correct? It's the budget is being
Correct.
amended to the end of the year, so
That
some of
was-
them, I'm thinking some of them have been expended already. And this is just-
This is for the budget to the end of the year. I can
Right.
tell
Right.
you that there are invoices out there. I believe that they actually approved some invoices, mostly with attorney's costs. And then those invoices will be coming to council for council's approval.
But the plan is to expend all these funds by the end of the year, everything that they're asked here for?
I would imagine, I wasn't involved in their budget process,
Yeah.
but I would imagine that if that's their budget, they believe that they'll expend those
Yeah.
monies. by the
Mr.
end of
Haas,
the
if I
year.
could just answer it just quite frankly, I've
Yeah,
taken
please.
a very hands-off approach on asking them what they want or anything after some of the things that occurred the last few months with the Government Study Commission and the discourse between them and council. So when they bring things to the table like this, I'm assuming that it has gone through all the right channels. And although we are the ones to approve it at the very end, figure that if there's something blaring, council will take a look at it. But I didn't want to pry too much in it. And like I said, just there were some of the issues that occurred the last few months with them. I don't want to
All right,
I don't want to
Shannon.
step on any toes.
Absolutely,
That's
but I
all.
also don't want us to be intimidated, and I
Sure.
just want to make sure everything's legitimate, because ultimately, the buck stops here.
Right.
You know,
Well,
so-
and just to
We're
you know
under-
make mention of the fact council is the one who essentially asked for the Government Study Commission question to be placed on the ballot. So we are supposed to take responsibility for that financially. I do agree that we need to maybe take a look at some of those things, but it's the situation that we're in. So.
Just for, that everybody is clear, council has already approved the 75,000 total. This is an amendment to put it in the right line item,
Right.
okay?
Yeah. So there's no other
No, thank you
expenditure.
for that
funds.
clarification, that does help
Yeah.
out. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right. There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Liscavige? Mr., excuse me, Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Perry? Mr. Sabatino?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson? Yes. Mr. Thornton?
Yes.
Mr. Wilovich?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Unanimous.
All right, number 3, motion to adopt a resolution approving a contract with Broker X for insurance brokerage services for fiscal year 2025-2026 with an optional 1-year renewal for 2027. I'll take nominations for the broker.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Brown and Brown.
I'd like to.
Oh, is there a motion to introduce?
Like I said, I'd like to introduce, open
Okay.
the discussion.
All right, open for nominations.
Open for
All right,
nominations.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, nominations
That
are
being said, I
open.
nominate Brown and Brown, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
I nominate Risk Strategies.
is there a second for Brown and Brown? Anybody? Second? Okay. Nomination for Brown and Brown fails for a lack of second. Is there a motion for Risk Strategies then? There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. All right, there's a second. Motion and a second. Since there's only one, I guess we'll go through with the roll call. Oh, is there a motion to close nominations?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll now have the resolution for Risk Strategies. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, roll call. Mr. Sabatino. All right, go ahead.
Ms. McDermott?
Abstain due to a personal relationship.
Mr. Perry? Yes. Mr. Sabatino?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson? Yes. Mr. Thornton?
Yes.
Mr. Wilovich?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
No.
Mr. Liscavige?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. Yes,
You have 8 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstention. It passes.
thank you. All right, number 4, motion to introduce ordinance amending the 2020 Manager Crocomo.
I'm introducing the ordinance amending the 2024 fiscal year budget for a mental health and developmental services grant that we received.
Thank you. Okay, number 5, motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the county manager to execute a renewal contract with Thomson Reuters for Westlaw Legal Research Software.
Motion. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Perry? Yes. Mr. Sabatino?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson? Yes. Mr. Thornton?
Yes.
Mr. Wilovich?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yep.
Mr. Liscavige?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Number 6, motion to adopt the resolution approving a settlement of pending litigation in the matter of Joshua S. Miller versus Luzerne County et al.
Motion. Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Sabatino?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Abstention due to, when I worked at the county, I was assigned to Mr. Miller's case, so I represented him in the capacity as legal counsel.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Thornton?
No.
Mr. Wilovich?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Liscavige?
No.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Perry? Yes. Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. Yes.
7 yes, 2 no, 1 abstention.
All right, thank you. Number 7, motion to adopt the resolution approving the settlement of pending litigation in the matter of Maureen Norton as administratrix of the estate of Kristen LaSalle versus Luzerne County and Wellpath LLC.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Roll call.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Thornton?
Yes.
Mr. Wilovich?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Perry? Mr. Sabatino?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Number 8, motion to adopt the resolution approving a modification to an American Rescue Plan Act funds awarded project for Wilkes-Barre Metropolitan Development Corporation. Motion and a second. Roll call.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Thornton?
Yes.
Mr. Wilovich?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Perry? Mr. Sabatino?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Number 9, motion to adopt the resolution approving an American Rescue Plan Act funds awarded, approving a modification to an American Rescue Plan Act funds awarded project for the for the airport, Luzerne County Engineering for the Wyoming Valley Airport.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Thornton?
Yes.
Mr. Wilovich?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Perry? Mr. Sabatino?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Number 10, motion to adopt the resolution approving a memorandum of understanding with the Luzerne County Government Study Commission for the compensation of the clerk of county council for services provided to the Government Study Commission.
So moved.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Motion by Mr. LaScavitch, second by Mr. Sabatino.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I'd just like to comment on this motion that I agree with our county controller. He's the controller for a reason. It's to be the watchdog of the taxpayer dollars, as that is our responsibility up here also. I don't begrudge anyone working for the Government Study Commission. Actually, I encourage it, and I do encourage them to hire people to work for the Government Study Commission. But for the reasons Mr. Griffith stated, mainly paying time and a half to an employee that's otherwise exempt, and I do not begrudge Ms. Lawrence at all. I wish we could pay her double what she gets paid. But nonetheless, I don't believe the motion addresses the salary or possible overtime of the IT people, the sheriff deputies. And I just think, you know, we have to be mindful of that when, as the controller stated, we're spending extra funds for time and a half when I don't think the Government Study Commission should jump the gun and pass that kind of motion within their body. So I do not support this. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Ms. Smith?
Do we anticipate another motion like this coming for IT or the sheriffs? With this specificity?
Not that I'm aware of.
So just to give some background on this, and I mean, this conversation has happened once or twice here in this forum before. The Government Study Commission was faced with this issue of hiring a clerk, and I suggested that Ms. Lawrence should do the job of the clerk as she was doing it to begin with. I thought she had the qualifications. It's just, you know, as a matter of her work with the council, and she'd be doing some similar things. And I asked, me personally, I asked the Government Study Commission if they would pay her at a rate of 1.5 times her hourly rate. I didn't ask that she be paid like as an employee time and a half. I just said that would be whatever that rate ended up being, and it was $33 an hour, something like that. And I believe that was commensurate to what the other applicant was being requesting to be paid as well. So that was just the only reason why I suggested that number. They agreed to it, and I mean, if council has a different opinion on it, then you know it's obviously your prerogative if you'd like to change that. So, go ahead. Yeah. Right, and it's also not during, this isn't happening during, during regular business hours. In fact, you know, I've made sure and assured with Ms. Lawrence that this is not interfering necessarily with anything that's going on related to council. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said, hey, I think you should do this.
Sure, and I don't think that we think that. I just, I think that Vice Chair Thornton made a good point about the sheriffs and the IT. However, I would like to, similarly to what the chair said earlier, caution council that when council put this question on the ballot, we decided to have a government study commission. I don't know that it is appropriate for us to deny what they are planning to use with their budget, given the fact that they are a committee that is studying us. So I just would like to make sure that everybody is cautioned in that way. Thank you.
Ms. Stevenson, and then, okay, Mr. Wilovich?
Yes, I have to agree. I mean, we voted to put the study question on. The people of Luzerne County voted to have the study commission. The study commission voted unanimously for this. I believe we should pass it.
Right, and again, the only reason why I'm saying that I was the one doing it, and it's spelled out in the charter that the chair of council is, you know, essentially the person that's in charge of the clerk of council. Otherwise, this wouldn't have been coming from me in any way, shape, or form. That's the only reason why I was the one kind of negotiating this. Go ahead, Mr. Liscavige.
Can we proceed forward with this and just call it a flat rate of X amount per hour rather than the time and a half? Does that language have to be in there?
I believe that it does say the rate. Doesn't it say the rate
It
in the
should
resolution?
say the rate of what time and a half
Right.
is.
I think that maybe those words, time and a half, are being used because they've been used in sort of the public discourse on this, but I could be wrong.
Because I agree that it's their choice to pay her whatever price per hour. That's their budget. But I think, you know, the way you word it is also crucial too.
Yeah, and I was basing my comments on Mr. Griffith, the controller's comments. If, I would support this motion if any words like time and a half are eliminated. If they're not there, great, but let's just look and see if they're in there.
Right.
It
It doesn't say the exact number. I mean, if you'd like to make an amendment to state the exact number, which would be, I mean, I'd have to pull it up, but it would be around $33 an hour was the number.
Well, Ms. McDermott just pointed out, it does state at 1.5 times the salary. So I would like to, do you know where that appears? Page 146. On page 146 of our documents, there's a line down there, it is hereby agreed.
That's in the agreement, not the resolution.
Okay,
So maybe if you'd like, my suggestion might be to table this and go back to the Government Study Commission and have them to reissue this with that specific language of $33 an hour or whatever the specific number is. Is
Motion to
that
table?
motion to table? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Or I'm sorry, no, hold on a second. Roll call. I apologize.
Mr. Wilovich?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Liscavige?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott? Yes. Mr. Perry? Mr. Sabatino?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson? Yes. Mr. Thornton?
yes,
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, thank you. All right, that has been tabled. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items? All right, Mr. Fiorucci? Thank you.
The mic is on? Okay. The LERTA abatement program should only apply to new construction, so it should not reduce current county taxes of $3,557 per year for the land. However, on page 36 of the agenda, it states that there could be a reduction of $51,855 in land taxes collected through 2038, 15 years. The wording says that one of the two parcels have been placed in an Act 319 program, and if the other parcel is also placed in the Act 319 program, total taxes will drop to $1,500 through 2038, or $100 per year for 15 years. This does not conform to the definition of an Act 319 Pennsylvania program, which provides tax relief only if a property owner agrees not to develop the land. Otherwise, the assessment of the land will be based on the fair market value of the property, like what the developer paid for it, and not the current old value of the property with current taxes of $3,557 per year. Also, the developer has agreed to pay the county an additional one-time unit completion fee of $250 per unit, which equals $160,750. To me, this sounds like a conditional use fee, somewhat like the $100,000 Sugar Notch may obtain from the proposed 155-unit development by JVI. So, if a development that is 4 times the size of the one proposed in Sugar Notch should only have to pay $160,000, I think it's on a scale equal with Sugar Notch, it should be paying about $400,000 in a conditional use unit fee, especially since it only pays this fee when the units are built, which of course may take up to 10 years. I think a fair number would be $500 for all single-family home and townhouses, which have a higher valuation than the apartments, and just keep the $250 per unit fee for the apartments. If that is done, the sums for that would amount to $96,000 for the 384 apartments and $129,500 for all the single-family homes and townhouses. Grand total, $225,000, which represents an increase of almost $65,000 over the existing offer of a flat $250 per unit built. Finally, according to the proposal for type of unit and sales price per unit, the amount of $137,600,000 will be created in new assessed value, not counting the land value. Using the millage rate of the county, that will generate county taxes of $873,760. But of course, again, as I mentioned in my last presentation, by the time 10 years have passed, inflation is counted in and taxes may increase. I figure a bump of almost 20% in that tax base could occur, creating $1 million a year in new county taxes. So over that period, the projections for the first 10 years of county taxes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fiorucci. Your time is up.
Okay, well, if anybody wants the last sentence, I have copies of the letter.
Is that part of the email that you sent us?
Yeah, with all the typos. This one has a few less typos. I try to fix them.
If you want to just send it to council in email format at the end of the,
I can redo it again.
Because if you give that to us, then we're going to have to put that. I mean, if you want it to go on the website, you can give it to copy it to us.
Well, the rest we already pretty much know what I'm talking about. Just to wrap it up, it was just
Okay.
how much we're paying out of Alerta. They're saving about $500,000 over 10 years, so it's not like a big giveaway.
All right. Thank
But
you.
There is a giveaway with the land that I see.
Thank you, Mr. Fatula. He's outside.
Hello, David Fatula, 105 Mark Road, Hazelton. He just said a lot of numbers that I'm trying to process, but I just hope we had time to review the validity of the land use. Again, the virgin land versus dilapidated and deteriorated properties. Okay, I don't even know how it would even qualify, but again, I hope we do our homework and check out the validity of the ordinance itself. I'm disappointed that we have taken this off the agenda again. I read about adjusting their payment now to $250 per unit. I think that's a slap in the face to the taxpayers personally. Again, I just hope that if this gets on the agenda again, that we will vote on it and vote for the negative. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Fatula and everyone else in the audience, just so you're aware, this was taken off the agenda tonight. There was a debate about whether it should be tabled or then taken off, and we decided to take it off here at the meeting. But it was in order to give them just a fair opportunity to go before the school district again and present their amended proposal, because we're typically the last entity that gets the LRTA proposal. So we wanted to have them have an opportunity to go back to the school district, which is really the most important piece of the puzzle here, looking for a LRTA before they come to us.
I think that's tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin?
Greg Griffin, Swarsville. Members of council, Manager Crookmo, and fellow citizens. Definitely, we've spoke many times, citizens, on the housing shortage. We give countless KOZ and LERTA tax breaks, and not one house was built. In fact, those big boxes are creating a housing shortage. So I'm totally in approval for council to approve the Allen Ridge Associates tax abatement request. It's just the beginning, but at least it's houses. All right, real quick. So many people are struggling and need help out there. So I've been appointed by Chairman Gene Ziemba of the Republican Party to be the director of the newly formed Republican Cares Committee. Our Republican Cares Committee will be helping struggling working families and seniors obtain housing and home repairs. We will be helping veterans and the disabled. We will also be addressing the school property tax issue and the burden it places on homeowners. Our Republican Party Cares Committee will be coordinating all of these issues through our elected state and federal officials, and sometimes through county council. Our committee members will be addressing council from time to time. I just wanted to let all of you know about our Republican Cares, our newly formed Republican Cares Committee. And this is in regards to the tax abatement, and it relates to the Real Estate Committee. And I have a copy for all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Mr. Griffith?
So tonight we voted on we moved it to table that motion about the salary. I would strongly urge this council to send a letter to the Government Study Commission, ask them what they want to do with the IT department. Those folks are non-union. They're going to work they're going to work. Are they going to give them a raise as well? Are we going to say, well, we have an IT person making $24 an hour, we're going to give them $37 too? Because they have the power to do that. Or are they going to just pick on one person who gets the raise and not the others? The slippery slope we stand on is very dangerous here, folks. I don't have a problem with it. If the government study wants to give the raise or whatever they want to pay, that's perfectly fine. But they also have to take into account, what are we going to do with the IT people? At every meeting, we have somebody from IT running that meeting. They're going to have to be compensated. Is this council going to say, well, we're going to pay them what their hourly rate is? Or are we going to say whatever the Government Study Commission says is their hourly rate? So if somebody needs to get that information sooner rather than later from the Study Commission as to what they want to do with those people. Because we also have the sheriffs who are union under CBA. They're working that Study Commission, and they need to be compensated as well. Is the Government Study Commission going to override their contract and put us into a grievance situation where they're going to say, well, you're not going to pay them time and a half. We're only going to give them a flat salary. Government Study Commission has a lot of work to do here on this issue, and they need to get it to council so we know what we're paying them for. You're giving them money, and they have the right to spend it, but they shouldn't be able to spend it without any kind of oversight just because they can. Now, they just gave a $33 an hour salary to one person. Are they going to do the same for the other people in this IT department? Something they should tell council. Today we had an announcement that there's not going to be a tran this year taken out. Kudos to everybody in this county that works here, from the worker who sweeps the floor to the person who's the division head all the way up to the county manager. It's a group effort that made that happen, because everybody is cutting costs and everybody's doing the best they can and doing more with less. And that's a testament to why we don't have to take out a tran. And the tran costs the county taxpayers a lot of money, which we could give as a tax break at some point. So keep that in mind. Everybody's on the team here. It's not just one or two people. So the other session, the work session discussion, is there anything on the work session about the parking garage for the ARPA money for next week, next session? There's nothing on there. Next week, next council session is their deadline. They said they would have a deadline to this council by the second meeting in November as to what you guys are going to do with that money. Are you going to claw it back and reallocate it or not? On top of that, we have money for the Hotel Sterling project. It's a new hotel going up there that they haven't done anything with UDAG money or the other. We need to get answers for them for the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith. Anybody else in the audience for public comment? Is there anybody on the Zoom that would like to comment? Anybody? Is Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's 6:41. We'll restart at 6:50.
Recording stopped.
All right, everybody, it's 6:50 p.m. Please take your seats, and we'll get started here with the work session. We'll be out of here very quickly, I hope. 20 minutes. All right, it's 6:50 p.m. I'd like to call the work session to order. We already had the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Roll call, please, Ms. Lawrence.
Mr. Haas.
Here.
Ms. Krasnowski. Mr. Liscavige. Here. Ms. McDermott. Here. Mr. Perry. Mr. Sabatino.
Here.
Ms. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Stevenson. Here. Mr. Thornton.
Here.
Mr. Wilovich.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
10 of 11.
Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions from the work session agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Thorne.
I make a motion to remove item number 6 and item number 8. Item number 6 regarding the bridge list and update from our county engineer, Tom Riley, and Nick Vogue. And also item number 8, discussion regarding the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton International Airport for the provision of law enforcement. I make a motion, we delete items 6 and 8 from the agenda.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, number 6 and 8 are deleted. Are there any other additions or deletions?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, if we can add creation of election inquiry committee for consideration.
All right. That will be at the end. I'll have to get the number if we create it. Go ahead. There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, in the interest of time tonight, we have a 400-page work session, and I think I'm not weighing in on whether or not his motion, because I'm not really sure what it would entail, but whether or not it's a good motion or not, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in the interest of time. And also, I don't believe our election process is completely over yet. I think they're still, addressing the ballots and counting votes and things like that, and they may have other issues. But I think we should, I'm not going to support that tonight, but I would definitely love to talk about it in a work session 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
Motion
Miss-
to table.
Well,
I'll just
Mr.
remove
Haas
my,
has a motion.
Mr. Thorne makes a lot of sense. I'll make a motion to remove my original motion.
Okay.
Thank you,
Council-
Mr. Haas.
Councilman Haas, I want to take this opportunity to invite you to speak with me, because I put forward initiatives. The Office of Law is going to do an after-action review and report, and I'd like to speak to you about what those parameters are. And I believe that all of us should work together. So I will make myself available so that we can talk this through.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, thanks, Ms. Krogman. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right. All right. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda then as amended?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the agenda is adopted. All right, first, receive and discuss division reports for October 2024. Manager Croquemont.
As usual, if there are any questions or concerns, you can call, text, write. But I just indulge me for a few moments. In October, we did an emergency preparedness program, and it was with our EMA and emergency services. And October 30th, I received an email from Dave Linkamer from Talon Energy, and I want to read it to council, because I want council to know how prepared we are. County Manager Croquemont, I want to express our sincere appreciation on behalf of Talon Energy for your continued support of the Emergency Preparedness Program at Susquehanna. So everybody knows this is for the power plant, the nuclear power plant. This year was one of the most successful off-site exercises that I have seen in a long time, and that is due to the support and cooperation of the many county and municipal volunteers, as well as Lucy, Dave, Charlie, Tim, and Ron's dedication to the program in the preparation stages. I wanted to share with you some of the items that I consider to be excellence that I observed prior to and during the exercise. 1, your staff's willingness to pivot back and forth between 2 revisions of plans as we work through approval of the new alert and notification system. 2, your staff's ability to correct issues that occurred in real time during the exercise to ensure a successful exercise. One example of this I observed was them working with municipalities to correct communication issues in the middle of the drill to ensure messages were received. 3, Lucy's leadership when she didn't hesitate to correct errors made by the senior state official on the bridge line. This can be difficult to do when you are correcting higher level state officials, but it is necessary to protect the best interests of your residents. As an aside, Lucy always keeps me in line as well. For the entire exercise was run in a very calm and professional manner, which is evidence of the leadership at the county from all levels. 5, the level of dedication from all of your volunteers, but particularly the radiological officer and amateur radio staff, is something to be very proud of. The female evaluators were very impressed with their knowledge and performance. These are just a few of the many excellent behaviors I observed during the drill at Luzerne County. I'm confident that the citizens of the county will be in good hands if the unthinkable ever occurs. Thank you again, and I look forward to working with you all for many years to come.
Thank you very much to our emergency services staff for all that you do. We've heard some great things about what occurred that day, so we appreciate your hard work on that. All right. You have anything else on the division reports, or?
Not right now.
Okay. All right. If anybody has any questions for Manager Crocomo or any of the division heads about them, you can reach out to them. All right. Items number 2 and 5 are all regarding the same essential issue. Mr. Vogt, is it okay if you want to go through them together?
Yeah, 2,
All right,
3,
just-
4, and 5
Okay.
all go together in the same project. The Union Township Bridge Bundle will be repairing 4 bridges in Union Township next year on Brown and Hans roads. There are 4 claimants. We have to temporary easement on their land right of way. 3 on Brown Road, 1 on Hans Road. Any questions?
Mr. Thornton.
Yeah, just for the sake of everybody here in the public and my purpose. So I guess when we're doing repairs on these roads and bridges, we have to actually encroach on some of their land to do the
Yes.
repairs. So what do? Pay them a little bit of money to have an easement or access?
Yes,
And that's
easement.
temporary and then it ends and.
Temporary. Once the project's over, land goes back to the landowner. Project will be done at that time. So they use the land for staging, equipment, and/or actual construction.
Okay, and you may not know the answer to this, but someone here I'm sure does. If while we're working and we're on their land and there's an accident that occurs, I guess their insurance would cover that, or does our insurance cover that?
Well, it's our insurance since we have a temporary easement. Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions from council members? All right, thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Vogt. All right. New number 6, discussion regarding the resolution authorizing the county manager to execute a contract with Trinity Services Group for inmate meals and kitchen operations management. Mr. Wilbur?
Evening, council. Okay, here we are. So we're here tonight to recommend, because our contract is now going to expire the end of this year, December 31st, for our food services. Put it out for RFP in August, and Trinity Food Services, who is currently our food service provider, came in with the lowest qualifying bid. So the recommendation from the division is that we enter into a new 3-year contract with Trinity Food Services. And I do have representatives from Trinity here. They just couldn't find a seat, so they would be willing to come in and answer any questions.
Mr. Liscavige?
I know the last time we had a contract, I just hope that the milk and juice and everything else is kept separate for one of our local people in this county who employs 25 people here, pays taxes here, And I know in the last contract, I think it was coming from possibly Beach Stroudsburg or New Jersey. Not for anything, I think it's best to keep jobs right here and purchase from people locally. And if I remember right, it was like 2 cents per carton. It wasn't anything worth throwing them out for. So I just hope we watch that this time around.
Yes.
Any other questions from council members about the contract? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 7, discussion discussion regarding the ordinance amending the 2024 fiscal year budget for Luzerne County for the public defender.
Just as a background, and Attorney Yeager, our chief public defender, is here. The governor awarded public defenders' offices across the Commonwealth monies through a PCCD grant, and our office was awarded over $103,000, and it's used to recruit and retain legal and support staff, social workers and investigators, and Attorney Yeager is here to answer any questions.
Did that, Mr. Yeager, did that grant go to every county in the state?
Every county in the state.
Okay. Did they all receive the exact same amount, or was it? Okay. Any questions from council members? All right. Thank you very much. Number 8, discussion regarding the resolution amending the master grant agreement between Luzerne County Planning and Zoning Agreement, acting on behalf of Lackawanna Luzerne Transportation Study Metropolitan Planning Organization and the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation.
Dan Reese.
Go ahead, Mr. Reese. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay. So PennDOT is seeking to amend the planning open-end agreement that we already have established with them right now by changing the expiration date from June 30th of 2028 to June 30th of 2031, and in doing so, increasing the budget capacity set forth in Section 1, Subpart D of the agreement from $2.6 million to $4.6 million. I believe the letter might have been included in your packet tonight. The funding breakdown of this agreement is 80-10-10. 80% of it's federal, 10% of it would be coming from the state, and then there's a 10% match from the counties on that. If anybody has any questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Thorne.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just 1 or 2 questions. I was reading this today. So the county's responsible for 10% of the grant amount. The amount was $2.6 million previously, and we were responsible for $260,000. Now the amount is $4.6 million. So the county now is responsible for $200,000 additional, or $460,000 to
Yeah,
match.
but extending it over an extra 3 years.
My question is, over the 3 years,
Yeah.
with that $460,000, are we obligated to pay that evenly over 3 years, or right up front when we get the grant money?
Evenly.
Evenly?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from council members? All right, thank you, Mr. Reese. Okay, number 9, discussion regarding the resolution approving an agreement with Newport Township for the collection of Newport Township taxes by the Luzerne County Treasurer's Office. Ms. Rozelle, is the mic?
Okay, I think it's
There
on.
you go.
Okay, this is a revenue generator for the county. We earn about $6,000 a year in doing this. We collect 1,800 bills. We get paid $2.60 a bill. In addition to that, we get paid for any certs or copies that are requested for Newport Township also, which is about $1,300 a year. Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
I think just a comment, Ms. Razan, we've been helping Newport Township out for quite some time, and I think that's part of our function. We want to help out municipalities where we can, so.
Absolutely.
Thanks for that.
Thank you. All right, moving into the budget. All right, so we have the funding request presentations. If I can just ask the people who are doing these presentations to please keep them short and sweet, like maybe 5 minutes if possible.
Or 3.
Or less would be, that's acceptable too. First, we have the Penn State extension.
I just want to add that we added this to the budget meetings because there are monies that are expended, and I really want council and the public to know about these programs. And the Penn State Extension is one of them. I went to, I was invited to their meetings, and I was sitting there thinking, this is amazing, what we do, what's going on, what's being done here. And I like to think that I'm informed, and I was, how did I miss this? So I really welcome Penn State and the Penn State Extension Program, and please.
Appreciate the opportunity to present to the council this evening. My name's Tara Mondock. I'm the Associate Director of Client Relations with Penn State Extension. I'm joined with by my two colleagues, newly hired Jennifer Mercero. She's our Client Relationship Manager. She'll be maintaining the relationship with council going forward here in the county. And Dave Messersmith is our Business Operations Manager, who interfaces with our county staff here in the county to do what we do. We are your land-grant university here. That's how we live out our mission as your land-grant. We serve as a vital resource for education, common well-being, and we provide an engine for economic growth to grow agriculture here in Luzerne County, but lots more than that. We know a lot about producing the variety of agricultural products that come out of Luzerne County. It's not a single standout crop that we support that dominates the landscape for agriculture here. The county actually farms a quite diverse with common crops that include hay, corn, and various vegetables. So the agricultural sector is, also includes some livestock. We value a 110-year partnership with the county. So we very much appreciate that relationship. Our funding actually comes as a result of a collaborative funding model that includes money from the federal, state, and county appropriations. You're an important partner to Penn State Extension. The relationship, again, assures that we understand the needs of the county here. We very much appreciate your engagement on our County Extension Council that helps us to inform those needs, making sure we're responding to and remaining relevant. We're providing high-quality programs where, when, and how they're needed. Our program resources that we deliver out through our program units include a number of programs, including our both face-to-face and our extension website, which is a crucial platform for delivering and sharing knowledge and facilitating learning and engaging in the community. Our mission, everything we do, centers on the fact that we believe everyone should have access to science-based education and learning. We've got a number of program examples that exemplify excellence. Many of those are leveraging resources that come out of the college at Penn State College of Agricultural Sciences, as well as work right here in the county with the staff that are on the ground here. Our first high path avian influenza engagement is an example again of how our subject matter experts are engaged in helping poultry producers understand how the disease was spread, how to establish sort of biosecurity plans. A lot of those plans go into the emergency preparedness as well, which we should be represented in some of the activity that's done here in the county and on the ground. We do work in climate smart agriculture, allowing for producers to increase their productivity and decrease their input costs, increasing their quality and yields. We've expanded our water quality focus. Many of residents actually come into our office to pick up water test kits, soil test kits, to make sure that their water is safe and clean. We're offering a wide variety of training and certificate courses for farmers and green industry professionals. We're doing work with introducing AI, with technology in agriculture, so that we can learn about how to apply those in the agricultural industry. So we provide quarterly updates. We would love the opportunity to share some of those highlights with you quarterly, just so you know, again, where the funding you provide for us goes. And we have some accountability and show good stewardship there as well. So our budget request and budget history is included in your packets that we've shared with you. Our hope is that for 2025, we're requesting $245,732, which is a $19,000 increase above what the county funded in 2024. We intend to utilize that funding to support the agricultural industry, again, with serving farmers, agribusinesses, and continue the research and extension work that we do with many of those producers. We're continuing to provide a wide range of educational programs, workshops, addressing critical issues impacting the general public here. Every citizen has something that they can actually utilize from Extension, which is the beauty in the partnership. We're providing educational opportunities and guidance and resources for environmental stewardship. Our 4-H program and our Master Gardener program and our Master Watershed Steward program are flagship programs that we utilize to do the work we do here in the county. We've aligned those programs and resources to the strategic priorities for the county in addressing, again, touching every single one of your priorities in the county. So I want to thank you for considering the budget request for Extension. It helps us, again, to do the work that we do here on the ground and in the county. Just want to thank you again for the longstanding relationship and know that we're looking forward to continuing the work with you. Thank you so much.
Any questions from council members? Mr. Liscavige?
I think it's great, all the work you did, and I was touched, speaking of the 4-H, when we go to the Luzerne County Fair every year, and to see the excitement those kids receive being involved in all that. So it's a great thing you're doing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Next,
Okay.
we have the Institute. I love their reports. A lot of times that's what I'm reading on Saturday nights.
Thank you, Manager Crocomo. Good evening, everyone. My name is Terry Corzini-Ohms, and I am the president and CEO of an organization called the Institute. We are a 501c3 nonprofit data analytics and research organization right here in Wilkes-Barre. We were formed out of a unique partnership between higher education and the business community back in 2004. It was at a time when there was some recognition that data and analytics could help inform decision-making, and it's been a long haul, but over the past 20 years, we found that more and more people are relying on data and analytics to inform their planning, their economic impact, their evaluation of their work, as well as supporting grants at the local, federal, state level, and through private foundations. Annually, we produce a report called The Indicators, and it benchmarks Luzerne County on 150 different metrics trended over time. The report serves as a gauge to look at where we've been, where we are, and try and determine where we're going, and if that's good or bad, and if we could intervene in market forces and change. We also facilitate groups of 8 subject matter task forces comprised of volunteers that are looking at issue-based challenges that we face in the community. We produce a quarterly economy tracker and a quarterly public policy tracker, all in an aim to educate and inform all different stakeholders in our community. We have a diversified economic model where we seek support like this from organizations, public, private, and institutional. And we supplement that with fee-based income where we do proprietary projects for similar types of organizations to help balance out the model. Our request before you is for $15,000 to continue your support of our work. We also have a student practicum program where students from our higher education institutions that are academic partners in the program work alongside of our research analysts to conduct the research in the community and get to know our communities better in hopes that they recognize the value of staying here after they graduate and work here. With that, I would be glad to answer any questions that you may have about our work. I see that you have a copy of our presentation in your packet along with the link to our website where you can find all of this data and more.
Any questions for Ms. Ohms? Mr. Haas?
Thank
Just
you.
one kind of thing, Mr. Chair. Hey, Ms. Holmes, welcome back. We just saw you a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Could you further, maybe for the priority for the upcoming year, talk about the link like we spoke about the link between these LERTA-induced warehousing that we have here in the Northeast and increase in population and housing needs?
Yes.
Just like a gentleman said, and like I said before too, I think there's a real correlation there. But
There
but I'd like to
is.
see the data.
There's a link among everything that you're talking about. Our region has seen growth in population, which is a very positive factor. We've also seen growth in business. The challenge that we're facing right now is one that's similar to one that's happening across the country. It's droves and droves of baby boomers are retiring and leaving the workforce, yet the younger generation coming up behind them isn't enough to fill the ranks in jobs of all different types, at all different education and skill levels. So the region that can support the workforce and fill the jobs in their communities is the one that's going to be economically viable over time. And in order to have that workforce, we need to have housing, we need to have childcare, we need to have access to strong health care and elder care, and all sorts of the goods and services that we all need in our everyday lives. And so there is an absolute connection between housing and workforce and development, both residential and commercial, and the success of that. And as I mentioned, I think one of the critical things that we need to be aware of is this is probably the first time in our history in northeastern Pennsylvania where we're actually competing with other regions across the country for workforce. And we are in a unique position, however, because of all of the many attributes and assets we have in our region. I think we stand a very good competitive chance to be that region that sort of sustains itself economically over the course of time.
Anything else? Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Holmes.
Good night.
Appreciate it. Okay. Next up, we have the library system.
Just want to say, I have my library card.
There we go.
I don't have mine. I got thrown out of the library
Oh.
for talking too much.
I don't like that comment. Thank you for allowing me to speak before you tonight. My name is Richard Miller. I'm the executive director of the Oosterhout Free Library, which means I'm also the system administrator for the Luzerne County Library System. And this is a special year for us. It was almost exactly 40 years ago from tonight when the county commissioners at the time allowed the libraries in Luzerne County to meet and form a system. The approval is required according to the state library code. And why a library system? Primarily, like any organization, you're stronger together. You can do more. Every citizen in Luzerne County has the services of a public library thanks to being part of the system. Prior to coming to the Oosterhout, I worked in a county that did not support a library system. So libraries had to put together service areas piecemeal. And if you had the student that came in 10 minutes before closing and said, hey, can I borrow this book? Well, if you lived in an area that's outside of a service area, you had to actually pay for a library card. But if we had a student from Shikshini that came into the library because that library happened to be closer, yes, you can borrow that book on President Polk and do your book report. So our mission as a library system is to provide all the citizens of Luzerne County with the information and resources that support lifelong learning and enrichment. Primarily at one point when the system was formed, that was through books, magazine, other print items. Obviously, over the past 40 years, things have changed a great deal. Today, we offer digital life to many citizens who don't even have to come to the library to use our resources. We did provide some statistics to show how your funding has been used and the outcomes of that funding. We offer many reliable databases. One of the challenges that we face is the concept that so many things are online, that every bit of information is online, and people don't need a library anymore because we can just find the answers online. But that reminds me of what my grandmother used to say, only believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. So we have trained librarians that help people every day find high quality, reliable information, whether that's for reading pleasure or for enjoyment, or for school assignments, for health studies, or to learn more about how to find a job. We're still the place where a child will come and fall in love with their first book and borrow the same book over and over, and mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whomever will memorize every page of that book by the time the child turns 7 because they've borrowed it and read it, and it's so well worn and so loved. Our libraries form partnerships. Some of us work with Fork Over Love to distribute meals. We work with senior citizen centers to help seniors understand the resources available to them, to help caregivers understand the effects of Alzheimer's. We work with LCTA to provide story times on buses, and the Oosterhout partnered with the county to provide a polling place this past election because South Wilkes-Barre was so difficult to find polling places for the citizens. One of our really exciting partnerships is with the Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber of Commerce. We are working with them to provide a new database called Blue Career. That wasn't me. Blue Career will help students of all ages, not just school students, but adult learners, find information about blue-collar careers, all the careers that we see that are much needed and not really well taught anymore. People that work with their hands, people that do our plumbing, our electrical, all the utility work. This database will not only help people understand what they need, but how to get that education. It will actually connect people with scholarships, and it will provide information for people that need to learn how to interview and to do resumes and actually connect workers with potential employers. In the future, we're going to have a new library software system. You may not be aware that the library system runs a delivery service 6 days a week. We share all of our resources throughout the county, many hundreds of thousands of items, and we deliver over 100,000 items per year traveling around the county. The mayors of Pittston, Wilkes-Barre, Kingston, and the county did help us purchase a new van this year, so we're very thankful for that because it's a well-loved service. The new library software will make it easier on people to use our resources. I would like to thank you for your allocation of $960,000 last year. Again, I refer you to the statistics we provided to show how it was used. I think we're impressive in the fact that we have so many people visiting our libraries, and the thing that you have to remember is that we have a tremendous footprint around the county, from our oldest library in West Pittston to our largest population, diverse and growing, in Hazelton. And speaking with the county manager, she made me realize just how large that this county is. We rival some small states, and the library system is here to serve everyone. And as part of the state-aided system, people can travel from one part of the Commonwealth to the other. If they're traveling for work, they can stop and use the computers or Wi-Fi in Pittsburgh. If they have to stay in Philadelphia for a few weeks taking care of a relative, they can go to that library and find some reading material. One of the things that we have to fight misconception is that libraries are government funded entirely. That's not entirely true. We do appreciate the support we get from Luzerne County, from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. However, the state aid formula is dependent upon how much funds we raise and spend locally. So the more that we get in support, the better we do. We are employers. The Luzerne County Library System employs nearly 100 people. We're economic engines. We draw people to our downtowns. The Oosterhout had 160,000 visitors last year. I think a lot of businesses downtown would like to see 160,000 people come through their doors in a year. So I think that's an important aspect of what we do. So in closing, I just want to say thank you. We appreciate your ongoing support and look forward to a great relationship with Luzerne County and the residents of Luzerne County, and anything we can do to help promote the county, the improvement, the education, or the betterment of our citizens. We are happy to help and assist.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Thornton?
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Thank you for your presentation. And as you noted, West Pittston Library, where I'm from, was founded in 1873.
Right.
And it's a remarkable little library. I've been there many times and My wife has worked there for the past 20 years at part-time, and she's the reason I'm banned from the library, not for any other reason.
We're not the shushing libraries anymore. We are very busy places, and that's one of the nice things about libraries today. We're community centers as much as we are repositories for books. People that work at home all day don't get a chance to interact. They don't get a chance to see fellow citizens, so they come to our libraries to attend a program on taking care of your house plan, or like I said, taking care of an elderly relative, and even just doing a book club or book discussion group.
In all seriousness, I encourage everybody, though, the library is not what you would envision 40 years ago when we were young people. There are really some cool events going on, fundraisers in our library, wine and cheese type things for adults. There's an art sale, a local artist, and that was a nice event we went to. So I really like the fundraisers that they have. I encourage everybody to use the library more if you haven't.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And please, we appreciate everyone that goes to our websites or comes in our doors to see what we have at our libraries.
Thank you very much. And as a resident of Pittston, the library has been an absolute staple of that community for many, many years. And in reference to the West Pittston Library, I go by there a lot. And you guys actually had a hysterical sign about a year ago on the front of the library that said, books inside, come on in and read. And then it said, like, bears ahead, don't go forward, or we don't know, but just don't do it anyway. Come on in anyway.
We have some great creative people
It was
working
hysterical.
for us in the county. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next I'd like to introduce our Conservation District. One thing I'd like to note, they were founded in 1964, so happy 60th birthday. I've worked with them for the last 3 years I've been on council. Their primary responsibility is to be making sure our citizens are good stewards of our county. They work with farmers, they teach our local students in the Envirothon programs. They do a great job with that. They also run our mosquito-borne disease control program. So I'd like to introduce our Executive Director, Josh Longmore, and Chairman Jay Wilkes.
Thank you, County Council and Manager Kokomo. Thank you for having us today. We're going to give you a brief presentation of what we do, and I'll turn it over to our Executive Director, Josh Longmore. Josh?
Okay, thanks, Jay. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I see the presentation is up. Could we go to the fourth slide? I provided this in the packet for you. I just wanted to go over just a couple of pieces of information that we included. The Conservation District is one of your boards, one of the county boards, and one of the key aspects of our background is that we were formed back in 1964, as Greg mentioned, by the county commissioners after a petition from conservation-minded landowners requested the formation of the Conservation District. This goes back to a movement that started back in the 1930s throughout the nation after the Dust Bowl that caused many people in the country to see the need for natural resource conservation. The federal government enacted legislation that then allowed the state governments to create county conservation districts. And so we're one of 3,000 throughout the whole country and one of 66 here in Pennsylvania, all the counties except for Philadelphia. And in 1964, that's when conservation-minded landowners petitioned the Luzerne County Commissioners to establish one here in our county. We function mainly with the core value of locally led conservation. That was the mindset that the people who founded the Conservation District movement had in mind. Was they understood that we can't take these principles of natural resource conservation and have a top-down approach in the way we apply them. We have to look to local land users, equipping them at the grassroots level to have the understanding and also have the resources they need to implement conservation on the local level. And that goes all the way back to our roots 60 years ago and continuing through to today. That is a core of how we function, locally led conservation. We are a creature of the county, as I mentioned, but we function under the auspices of the Pennsylvania Conservation District Law, Act 217, which specifically designates conservation districts as a primary local government unit responsible for the conservation of natural resources in the Commonwealth. That law identifies the process by which our board members are nominated and appointed. But a key provision of that is that county council appoints our board members. And so that's a need that we have of you each year. is that you make it a priority to work through that process and provide us with those appointments so that we can keep functioning. The law identifies 3 different types of directors: farmer directors, and that's defined in the law. They have to meet criteria to be a farmer, public directors, and a county governing board member. And so we have 7 board members, 3 farmers, 3 public, and 1 county council member director. We are a political subdivision of the Commonwealth, or in other words, we're another local government agency. But it's important to note that we don't have taxing authority. We're funded by contracts with state agencies, service fees for some of the services we provide in some of our programs, and then, of course, the county allocation. The rest of the presentation goes into some detail about our programs, and I'll let you take a look at that at your own leisure. But if we could go to the next to last slide. There we go. Back one more. These are the numbers. I'm sorry, go forward one more. There we go. The 2024 county budget allocation was $22,000. It's important to note that that covers direct costs related to our administration of the county's farmland preservation program. So another one of your boards, the County Farmland Preservation Board, is also a volunteer board, but needs some staff support to operate that program. And so the Conservation District provides a portion of one of our positions to provide support to that program. We've been doing that for about 8 years now. It used to be the County Planning Office. We took that over at the request of the county about 8 years ago and have been operating that program well. That's a program in which farmland is, farmers are allowed, are able to apply to the program to apply for state funding to purchase conservation easements to protect those properties. In the nearly 20 to actually over 20 years of the program's existence in the county, there's been more than 4,100 acres of county farmland preserved and 40 different farms preserved over that time period. So it's a very successful program. But as I mentioned, our allocation is to cover the direct costs related to coordinating that on behalf of the County Farmland Preservation Board. That's about 2.4% of our annual operating budget. To put it just in a different way, for every dollar that the county provides, that leverages over $23 of state and federal funding that's received for other staffing and operations for our other programs. And a lot of the programs we operate are only by law allowed to be operated by county conservation districts. There aren't any other entities that are able to take the delegation authority from the state in some of the programs we operate. That funding, that state funding for staffing and operations is in addition to the grant funding that we seek to put conservation on the ground. And I think that's one of the most important aspects of what we do. Again, that locally led conservation, it's not just about education, outreach, technical assistance. Those are all important components of what we do. But we actually put conservation on the ground. We help local land users, farmers, municipalities, address natural resource issues and leverage state and federal funding sources. And over the past 2 years, we've leveraged grant funds of over $3.3 million. And there's a list there of the different types of projects: stream restoration, agricultural conservation, and road program projects throughout the county. Finally, I'll just say that we appreciate the support that we've gotten for the county over the years, and be happy to answer any questions either now or later by email or phone, or you're always welcome to come out and visit. If you want to just hit that last slide, there's a picture of our office, nice log cabin in the woods out in Jackson Township. Anybody's always welcome to come and visit us there.
Any questions by council members? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
thank you.
appreciate
Thank
the
you.
presentation. Okay, next up we have the Mountain Council of Governments.
Good evening, and thank you for letting me have this opportunity to speak to council this evening. Jen, if I stay too long, you know to get the hook. Okay? Thank you. The Mountain Council of Government was formed over 25 years ago by forward-thinking ex-mayor of West Hazelton, Dan Guidish. and Hazelton City ex-mayor Joe Yanuzzi. Their plan was to attempt to take the southern end of the county and have the municipalities start to cooperate and work together to improve government, to improve services. The organization flourished in its first many years, and thanks to Luzerne County, we have already received an allocation of $5,000 annually. The changing of municipal government operations kind of stagnated the operation of the Mountain Council of Governments. We have found out over the last many years that municipal elected officials do not have the time or the impetus to be able to sit on another board or another meeting. So a few years ago, I was able to came, after I retired from Keystone Job Corps Center, I took the job of executive director. And along with, again, Mayor Yanuzzi and our chair, Joe Clark, along with Jen Pecora, helped us transition from an organization that dealt with municipal elected officials to the people who run government on a day-to-day basis. That would be township managers, borough managers, city administrators, and get them together to be able to work towards improving cooperation and improving government. We have succeeded in that. We have a very dynamic and diverse group which consists of mainly all the Luzerne County, Southern Luzerne County communities. And what we do is we meet monthly, and we have 4 parts to our meeting. First part of our meetings is just to be able to communicate. Second part is a sharing of best practices, which has become a major part of what we do. Because if Butler Township is doing something one way, and Freeland Borough is doing something another way, and Hazelton City is doing something the other way, when we talk together, we're able to maybe cooperate and figure out which is the best opportunity for us. The next thing we do is we share grant information. Every meeting, we have a grant writer come to us and present us with information on grants. Third thing we do is we move our meetings from location to location in the southern end of the county. So one month we're in Whitehaven, we're in Hazel Township, we're in Freeland, we're in Butler, Sugarloaf, we cover them all. And this gives our members the opportunity to see the municipal operations of each individual government. Lastly, we bring in speakers every month. And Mamela has come and talked to us. Jen attends every meeting down there on our monthly on Fridays. And it gives us the chance to hear what's going on in Luzerne County government. Representative Dane Watrow is due to speak with us in January. In February, we're having State Senator Argel. We have people from damage remediation works. As you know, in case there's a natural disaster in your community, sometimes, and many times anymore, we're finding out there is no insurance for those people, and how we can get outside agencies to help us in case of fires and floods and things like that. We're very proud of where we've come, because now we're able to call somebody on the phone and say, how are you handling this and how are you handling that? The $5,000 that we get annually from the county is basically our major share of our funding for the year. We run on a very shoestring budget. Our funding goes to basically rent, some utilities, and some clerical support. But the service we're providing in the southern end of the county, and as you well know, currently is exploding. Just you look at the industry that has moved down there, look at the situation the school district is currently in, and look at communities. I'm from Freeland Borough. I'm 68 years old. I never thought I would see Freeland Borough grow in population, and it has after the last census. And we're all experiencing that throughout the county, but the lower end of the county is really growing over leaps and bounds. So we do have a lot of logistical problems, and we have a lot of growth issues. And this is what we do for the sharing of our information. Again, we're proud of where we've come. The inclusion of the administrators has been a great asset to us, and I hope that you again consider us. We thank you for all your help. I speak in behalf of all the municipalities on the southern end of the county. I speak in for Mayor Joe Yanuzzi, who was, again, this was his baby and his inception. And if you have any questions, please, I'd be glad to answer them for you at this time. You're on the agenda, too. I think you're coming in February. I'll let you know.
Give me the call. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Any questions from council members?
Thank you again. We greatly appreciate it.
Just, I just want to say that he's a fellow MMI graduate like myself, so we love microphones and to talk, so.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yes, we're prepper proud. There's no doubt about it. There's a few of us here in this room tonight, right?
Yeah. Paula Raddick.
Thank you again. Bye now.
Thank you. Finally, we have the Wilkes-Barre Law Library.
Good evening. I'm Joe Burke. I run the library in the courthouse. As part of our request, we're just making a small one for $500. It's to cover expenses towards books. It's part of the county's obligation under Title 42, PACSA, Section 3724, that you have to provide anything necessary for the county law library. So we only need $500.
Any questions? All right. Oh, Ms. Smith, go ahead.
Can you speak to whether the law library is open to the public?
Oh, yes. The library is open to the public, like the courthouse is, 8:30 till 4 o'clock. We close a half hour earlier because we had an incident up in the library and the sheriffs had to come up and escort somebody out. So they asked us to close at 4 so that they have enough sheriffs on duty if it happens again. But we welcome anybody to come up to the library. We are 50% book-based and we have electronic research. The Library Westlaw package is separate from the county package that the county pays for. But it's can get you any type of case, any state, any federal circuit. The only thing that we cannot do, unfortunately, we can't provide reference help like libraries do when you come in. That's considered the unauthorized practice of law, so you kind of have to know what you're looking for. Like if you're doing a will and you say, I want a book on will or something like that, to write a will. But obviously we can't review it. We can't tell you if it's done right. But we do have a lawyer referral service that for $25 for a half hour will give you a great consultation. But we're always up there to help anybody who walks in.
Mr. Liscavige.
I'm just curious, the person that was asked to be removed, is he sitting in the vice chair over here? Yeah, he's been asked to leave several libraries. I just thought there was
I don't know.
That's a good answer.
Oh.
And just to be clear, the law library is a separate legal entity. You are not part of the court system.
That's true. We are a 501c36 organization. Going back to 1850, with the second courthouse, the association was formed by the judges and lawyers. And then in 1855, they requested a library be formed by the court and the county. Since that time, the association has basically provided the majority of the funding. The county simply provides the heat because we're in the building, electricity, things like that. But we are almost self-sufficient. I work for the Bar Association, but I volunteer my time to be the librarian. And my staff who works with me with the Bar Association also volunteers to help people in the library.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving further into the budget work session, we'll start with the Human Services Division. Mrs. Sparich.
I'll try to keep this very short.
I thought it would probably be helpful because most of the agencies receive state and federal funding. I figured you would probably want to hear about the county's contribution to those budgets. Aging doesn't get any kind of county contribution. Human Services gets 5.79%, which translates into roughly $92,000. MHDS is again 5.79%, so that's about $129,000. Drug and alcohol, we have to match 10% of the Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs funding, which is provided. So that would be rounded up $176,000. Veterans Affairs is 100% funded by the county. That total is $361,834. We provide a 5.79% match for the Human Services Block Grant Program. So that's about $1,020,000. And CNY is the largest contribution that the county makes, and that's about $6.9 million. Most of their grants are 20% match. Some of them are 90-10, some are 75-25, but the vast majority is 20% that the county has to match. So, pardon? So the county, the total amount that the county contributes to the Human Services Program is $8,678,971. And I do have some of the department heads here if you have specific questions, since I'm kind of new to this.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Barrett or any of the department heads in Human Services Division? All right.
Okay.
Short and sweet.
Thanks.
Thank you,
very much.
Michelle. She's our utility player.
All right. Next up, we have judicial records.
Good evening. I'm going to try to keep it brief as well. I also have all of my team and all my good managers. They're all here tonight if anyone has any question as to specifics that I may not be able to answer. Overall, our budget is for 2025 is going to be in the plus column, $759,965. That is down slightly from last year of $27,453. And I'm just going to hit some of the highlights. The Register of Wills, the municipal realty tax. We do have a $50,000 increase because the real estate prices in the area are remaining very high, so that has increased that. The coroner's office, there's a $750 increase to our Department of Health line item due to additional funding received for reporting certain types of death from the state. Our Clerk of Courts and Pathonetary's office, our fees have consistently gone up, so we have $157,700 increase in court filings this year. And also our bail poundage, we're making more efforts to collect our bail forfeitures, so that's another $135,000 in the an increase. The sheriff's office, we have had a decrease in civil process this year. That's based on the prior average years, and that's $50,000. And the records department will hopefully see a $17,000 increase due to more space being utilized in our retention building and allowing us to collect additional rents from other departments who are using our storage. Our expenses, our wages have been are our biggest issue where there are increases. The coroner's office, there's a $36,077 increase due to changes in the FLSA, which as you are aware, we now have federal exempt minimum salary thresholds that we had to meet. So we had to move some things around in order to be able to meet that requirement. And that is also shown in the $14,000 increase from the small tools and minor equipment account, and the forensic examinations line item. There is an $80,000 increase due to the reallocation of funds for that line item, for the wage line item. Burial benefits, we have a $5,000 amount was adjusted based off the trend for the past few years because of there's been greater efforts now to find the next of kin, and that means there's less county burials that we have to pay for. The sheriff's office, like the coroner's office, we have wage increases, and that's our biggest one was $334,000 because we are going to have to add some per diem employees as well as merit increases. As you're aware, we've had some openings in that office that we've been unable to fill, and we've been looking for different ways to try to fill them. So we're trying to get some per diem employees that could help us with that situation. And we also had to hire contractual services of a security office to perform point of entry security at the Hazleton Annex and the upcoming Hazleton Central Court location, which also helps our sheriffs to be available in our court here when our judges need sheriffs. And that's basically the highlights that I've pulled out of my report. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions from council members? All right. Thank you very much, Attorney Ryder.
Okay. Thank you.
Next up, we have operational services.
Good evening, council. All right, so the highlights of operational services, we have an increase in revenue for 2025 proposed, about $667,000 increase. Our expenses are expected to increase by $658,000. So overall, we're still $9,000 in the good of the increases with revenue. And a lot of our revenue and expenses are determined by grant funding that we receive for different projects. So I will go through, I'll go through our general fund accounts first. Planning and zoning, we are going to be receiving $80,000 for Safe Streets for All. So that's reflected in the revenue, and then the project is reflected in the expense side. Building and grounds, we are going to be cleaning up the budget. We have staff members from building and grounds that go over to the OHS building for cleaning, maintenance, things of that such, a custodial worker. So we will be paying their salary and the supplies out of the general fund, and OHS will be reimbursing us for those costs associated. There's throughout our budget as well as others, you'll see in most of them that there's an increase in our revenue for interest on the account, so I won't touch on those on each account. We have 911, our general fund budget. When we took a look at it, there were adjustments needed based upon the 5-year average, so we were able to decrease some of our expense lines. And EMA will be able to capture more salary reimbursements, Form 165, for our positions for our ops and training officer. Roads and bridges, you'll see there's significant changes on the line items in road and bridge based upon grant funding that we'll be receiving. And we also separated them out into expenses with the other contractual. So we will be getting multimodal reimbursement next year for Main Road, Broadway, and Hanover. So those costs will be reflected in our expenses. And then we also have our county match, which is included under general construction. There's a 25% match that the county has to come up with in order to complete those projects. And in engineers, we did increase slightly our revenue for site reviews that we've been conducting, and we were able to decrease our expenses for subscriptions. We found that there were some line items in there that we weren't using. So for our cost saving initiatives, we did eliminate some of those expenses. And then going into the non-general fund accounts, the 194 account, that's the capital plan, which we had already discussed through the capital plan project approval. And then I do have a significant amount of accounts. Most of them are state funds that we receive. So whatever we're receiving from the state is what we're spending. I would like to skip down to account 209. This, if you look in your budget packet that was provided originally on the reports, this is the West Nanacoke Bridge. This is the DCED money that comes through the Redevelopment Authority. They hold the money for us. We request the funds as we receive invoices, and then we pay the invoices once we get that request from them. So that was actually not in the budget, the original budget packet. We actually have to put that in there, and we're expecting to spend 2.5 million since we'll be starting to move forward with the project as we're moving along through our ECMS project. The next account is going to be the 210 account. That's the $5 local use account. That account has been closed, so in order to reflect the significant change on that, I just wanted that noted. And then we created a new account for the HUD grant that we'll be getting through Muser's office for Main Road. It's 2.5, so we have that reflected in grants, and then other contractual for the expenses on that. And then if you skip to 350, the 350 account, that is the airport account. There were some significant changes in that for the grant funding that we'll be receiving. The projects that will be, the portion of the projects that we'll be doing next year are for the fuel tanks and the hangars. We decreased the engineering because the engineering on these projects has already been completed. So, and since the repairs and maintenance part was done, there was repairs and maintenance done this year, we also have taken that out of our budget for next year. And our 514 account, this is our agricultural easement account. This is a pass-through. We collect the money for easements on farmland and things of that nature, and then that gets turned over to the state. So that's just a pass-through account that was not budgeted accordingly in the past. So we just wanted to clean that up. And then on our solid waste and recycling account, you'll see a significant decrease in that. We get funding from the state and our landfill fees. It goes into that account. We had been saving money to complete the project at the new operations and solid waste recycling building. So that project is now complete. So you'll see a decrease of $4 million. We're back to regular operating expenses and fees collected. Any questions?
I just have one question on the road repairs budget. I know that it says that there's a decrease because there's not going to be any revenue to support the expense from the ARPA.
So last year, going into this year, there was $1 million of ARPA funds that council had voted on to put into road repairs for this year.
Right.
So we don't have that funding coming into this year. So that's we decreased that as we're not getting any additional ARPA money into the general fund.
Do you foresee getting any of that funding anywhere else? I know that the last 2 years, like I've been the one to seriously look at that, and you know, we've been talking with other council members that have really wanted to up that budget for the road repairs. So is that, I mean, that's going to impact the budget significantly, I would say.
Yeah, we did incorporate a few months ago when we were talking about ARPA internal projects. Our team came up with a plan with different road projects and different building projects, and we highlighted them for either ARPA interest or if there was any ARPA money left over that we would be asking for.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr.
Mr.
Thorne.
Chair, along those lines of your questioning, I just have a question here, maybe for Manager Crocomo or Ms. Barrich. We do have, I think, unobligated money still sitting here that we have to obligate by the end of the year, I believe. And we're probably going to claw back some additional funds from some entities. So what does the outlook look like for that? Ms. Barrich, I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Sorry, that's okay. There are going to be entities that we will be getting funds back. They are slow moving to turn in their paperwork to Booth, you know, so that we can put the modifications on the agenda. Romilda and I actually spoke about that earlier. I think we may send an email from Ramilda, and then I actually may make some follow-up phone calls, because we don't really have an exact amount of what will be coming back to the county. So, you know, we're working on it. And as far as our ARPA remaining balance, when I spoke with Booth, I believe it was last week, when the HVAC project had their amended, do you remember when that was approved? It was in the summer.
Our HVAC actually was April. I
Okay.
think it was in April.
So
We had asked
that
for
was
additional
another, what,
funding.
411, I think?
415.
415?
Was
And
that the chiller?
No, yes.
Was that the chiller?
I think it was 415, and
Okay.
that was not, Booth didn't realize that they were awarded that extra money. So I really don't know that we have any money, very little money, maybe under $10,000 that hasn't been allocated.
In the original ARPA
In the
principle?
original, yeah, in the original principle.
I thought it was more than that. Okay.
Oh, no.
And the interest, there's ARPA interest?
The interest, I don't remember what that is off the top of my head, Mary. Was that maybe at about 6 now? About 6 million.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Sabatino.
Ms. Sparrow. Hi.
Oh, you thought you were getting off easy.
Sorry.
At the last meeting, I believe it was the last meeting, we took some money back from the Jewish Alliance. Is that included in that total?
No, that, because they didn't put their paperwork in
Okay,
yet. I
okay.
believe that Gladys sent an email today that she received it from them.
Okay.
But they have to review it, and then they'll forward it to me.
Okay.
And there are some entities, like when we met with Wright Township, some of that money will be coming back because there was some confusion on what was awarded. And there, I believe NEPA Inclusive is gonna give us some money back. So all these little amounts will add up. We just don't have a handle on it because they haven't put their
Mr.
paperwork
Thornton.
in.
And Ms. Barrett, I think the parking garage discussions we had here, Wilkes-Barre City Parking Garage, I think we had a deadline of the next meeting.
Correct. That
which
was another
is
thing we talked about.
November 26th, I
The
believe.
26th, right, it's
So
the
we're
Tuesday
expecting
before
to
the
hear from
holiday.
them one way or the other, right?
We've been emailing,
Okay.
but,
But that is the date, correct?
yeah, that's what we told them.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we'll have that resolution drafted for that meeting.
Okay, okay.
Since it
And
seems
I
like
mean,
we're not hearing from them.
You know, we can certainly reach out, but, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
we did receive an
Yeah.
email, but it wasn't, we received an email, but any firm amount of money that they expect to receive was not, that wasn't in that email. They expect to receive money, but they don't have a
And I
commitment
think like
letter.
what they have unofficially, I still think it's not the total amount that they needed.
Okay.
But we're going to follow up.
Yeah.
And we will have projects ready when we have the amount that we're clawing back or receiving back. We will have projects ready for council to review and hopefully approve.
Can we possibly just get an update of what that outlook is going to look like at some point? Even if you
Yes.
just send
Oh,
an
yeah.
email or something, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
what your potential projects are,
We
what we
have
think
a call
maybe the.
Thursday afternoon with Booth, so I could
Okay.
probably get it to you like Friday or Monday next
Sure,
week.
sure, yeah, take your
Okay.
time, but somewhere, because obviously we may want to look at it for some pieces of this budget. I am very concerned about the road repairs budget, that decrease. That's something that really has been very important to this council and the previous council on.
And we don't want to meet on Christmas Eve to decide all this.
Also that, yes.
Yeah, we do have projects that the engineering, it's near end or completed, that we do have projects that are ready to go. And a lot of the roads, our team, it's been a year, but, we've learned which roads are in need, prioritizing them. So we will have projects ready to go, ready to bid. And once we have the funding and we know that we have the funding, we can put them out to bid December, January, and then get a start date early spring, so that we'll have a very busy summer ahead of us, so.
Yeah, thank you. And kudos to the Road and Bridge Department and your division, because
Thank
in the last year, I will tell you that aside from some of the issues that we've had with our bridges, we really have had a major decrease in the amount of people that have been, complaining about the roads. And we do know that it's because a lot of those projects that have been completed were some of the worst roads in the county. So they look great. I've been on several of them. So kudos to all of you. You've done a great job so far.
Thank you. And we did purchase some equipment this past year that has given us the ability, we'll be able to even though our staff is limited on the road crew, we have a jetter truck which will be able to clean out drains, maintain the drains throughout the county roadways. So then that helps with preserving the roads as well. So in time, it will be saving us money because it'll be a preventative maintenance measure.
Excellent. Mr. Liscavige, and then Mr. Sabatino, do you have something? Okay, go ahead.
Speaking of that jetter truck, because I'm familiar with water trucks where I work, you might want to make sure that's drained every evening during the winter.
So it's being winterized at the end of the week. So it'll
Okay.
be actually
Just a
I think
friendly
tomorrow.
reminder, it's gonna be
Yep.
27 degrees.
So we drained it today, and it is they're coming tomorrow. We're winterizing it, and we'll have it parked, so we won't. Yeah.
Methanol works great.
That's a great.
So
Great
unrelated
suggestion.
to road and bridges, the electric rate, I see that went up almost 35%. It was a big number.
So we are actually working right now with a broker. They're looking into pricing, and we're actually hoping to put that on the next work session.
Okay.
Any other questions from council members?
I just have a couple, Mr. Chair, if I may. So, Ms. Perot, the main road that we're looking at, what, is that the entire length of Main Road, or is it looks like about 2 miles worth, perhaps?
Yeah.
No, over 3 even? Okay. And that's a total it's like $1 million and resurfacing?
I believe so.
Be the
Right?
real thing?
Yeah.
Awesome, Nick. And then, going over to the West Nanticoke Bridge. So the status on that, we're moving forward with the project? Can
Yeah,
you speak to
we're
that
moving
exactly?
forward. We received the responses back and entered the ECMS ratings with our committee. So now the state's just reviewing, PennDOT's reviewing everything that was submitted through, and then we're just waiting on them for next steps so that when we can we'll actually be assigning our engineer to oversee everything on the project, and then we'll be able to move forward.
Okay. So did council approve that, though? I'm just trying to think what, that whole West Nanticoke thing we
Yeah, I
did?
believe so.
They
We're
approved the
forward with that?
ECMS, that we go through the ECMS system.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then PennDOT oversees the selection process with our team, the
Okay.
internal county team, which it's Nick, myself, Mr. Thornton, and county manager.
And we'll have the engineering group that gets the award, we'll have them here for council.
Mr. Sabatino.
Thank you. The money for the Nanticoke Bridge it's being held by the Redevelopment Authority, they've been paying into it for a couple of years now already, so we should have.
Right, but we're not asking for all of it, because we're only going to be spending, and once construction starts or whatever route we go on fixing this bridge, then we'll be asking them, we'll be coming to council, maybe next year, we'll be asking for maybe $5 million, depending on what our the anticipation would be for the next year. But it's, we make the request, like, we'll get invoices, we'll make the request, they'll send us the money, we then pay the invoices.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Controller Griffith?
2 minutes.
I don't think I'll need 2 minutes. As you look at my budget, it's a reduction across the board. We've reduced every line item that we could to stay within the zero-based budget. Our total, obviously, we're not a revenue-generating department. Our expenses are $278,230 from 2024, and our 2025 proposed expenses are $278,211. So we're right on target. In fact, we're down a little bit from the 2024 budget, and everything has been reduced that we could reduce. Obviously, the legal fees was one of the biggest ones that I had on there, and I was able to reduce that because we have good cooperation and we don't need that money. But we can come back to council and get money if we need it. So thank you very much for your help. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Mr. Sabatino?
Earlier this year, you came and asked for, you hired new people and you gave them a salary bump. You covered the salary bump and still did the zero budget?
I did. Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Every year this guy saves us money.
Every year. It's great.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
All right, thank
Great.
you very much,
Yep.
Controller Griffith. All right, finally, we have the solicitor. Attorney Skeen. And council members, it's a handout.
All right. Good evening. I'd like to thank the efficiency of my colleagues so that I can have my entire hour. So, in the budget, we have a change in staff. We had to correct conflict counsel. We removed positions from conflict counsel because we weren't filling them. And we moved that budget into special legal services. And then we converted 2 full-time positions into 2 part-time positions. So we had a net gain, a net decrease of 6 positions between the 2 departments and 2 new ones that went into the Office of Law. Then we have increased our revenue by sorting out our billing to the different social services parties that we could bill. And in that additional billing, we also have a part-time attorney who is shared between our office and the courts. The salary falls into our budget, but we are being repaid by the courts. So that one isn't a billing, that's just in our department, and then we'll get the money back. Then we also pay for the guardian ad litems, and then that money comes back into our department. That comes in under our budget revenue. And I think that is about it. Our general, most of our budget comes from either paying attorneys, which we have to do under our contracts with insurance, and settlement of cases. So, and including cases that aren't from insurance, when we happen to get sued in election time, and we're then forced to have to pay attorneys for us and the board, because when we're both sued, there's a conflict for us representing interior, either party. Any questions?
Any questions from council members? All right, thank you, Attorney Skeen. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.
Is this one?
Just before we go into public comment, I just wanted to comment on something really quick. Just for any further divisions or departments that are coming to us with their budget requests for next year, I know that we had quite a few changes in our agenda over the last couple of days, and I'm not saying it's anybody's fault or there was any major issue, but it is really difficult for council members when we get these changes last second to be able to review them in any meaningful way. So if we can get these, to council, to Ms. Lawrence before the deadline for the agenda, please. It would be really helpful for us so that we can ask more meaningful questions and so that we can, do our job as the people responsible for the budget in the county. So just please keep that in mind if you can for the next meeting. Is there any public comment? Nobody in the audience? Anybody on the Zoom?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.